592,818 XRP wallets all have exactly 10 XRP, and apparently no one's touched them. It's kind of like finding out there's 500,000 piggy banks each stuck with $25, and I needed to know why. So the other day, I'm kind of nerding out on some XRP ledger stats, like I do, of course, and one number hits me like a truck. Nearly 600,000 accounts each hold exactly 10 XRP, and I'm talking precisely 10, not 9, not 11, and I'm thinking to myself, what gives? Who are these people? And are they even people or just dusty old wallets from 2017? And I just couldn't let it go. It kind of felt like I had stumbled onto a crypto mystery novel, and every chapter might be a lost wallet. And I mean 592,818 accounts is about 8.5% of all XRP wallets that are out there. That's not a rounding error either. That's a big chunk of the community, all with the same weird balance, right? There's got to be a story behind this. So I dive in head first, figuratively, not literally, and I stayed in my chair, of course, now to kind of unravel why 10 XRP is the magic number for so many ghost accounts. And by the end of this, you're going to see why at least you'll see XRP, I should say, in a whole new light. And who knows, right? You might even start wondering if you have some forgotten crypto loot hiding somewhere too. So first, let's get our facts straight. Now, according to the XRPL stats, the XRP ledger has about 6.9 million wallets at the moment. So 6,991,542 wallets at the point of recording. And out of those, exactly 592,818 wallets hold 10 XRP each. Yes, you heard that right. Roughly 1 in 12 XRP wallets just has 10 XRP sitting in there doing nothing. Now that 10 XRP is basically the most common balance on the entire network. Imagine if the most common amount in everyone's bank account was $10. That's kind of like, that is kind of, at least it is kind of like that, only in crypto terms. So why 10 XRP? It's quite obvious if you're in the space. If you're kind of new to XRP, you might not know. So here's the deal, right? The XRP ledger has something like a cover charge or a minimum balance requirement. Now, you can't just spin up a new account for free. So back in the day, you needed 20 XRP to activate a new wallet on the ledger. Think of it like a security deposit or the minimum balance to open a bank account. Then, a while later, they lowered that reserve amount to 10 XRP. And more recently, as XRP's price climbed and those reserves became more valuable, the community voted to drop the reserve down to just 1 XRP in late 2024. So the rules changed over time. 20 XRP needed at first, then 10 XRP, and now just 1 XRP. So what does that have to do with our 592,818 ghost wallets then? Well, it's simple. There's a lot of people who made wallets when the required reserve was 10 XRP. Now, put in exactly 10 XRP in and it gets you started. And then you can basically say, cool, I have an XRP wallet now, and left it at that. It's kind of like paying the cover charge to get into the club, but then you just peek through the door and leave without actually buying a drink. So those 10 XRP are the cover charges that never actually got used for anything else. Now, some of you might be thinking, why bother opening an XRP wallet and not using it? Well, here's the thing. In the crypto world, especially a few years ago, people were curious. Maybe someone wanted to try out a new XRP decentralized application, dApp, or just see how the ledger works. So you put the minimum 10 XRP in to play around. And then life happens. You forget about it or you lose interest. Trust me, I have test wallets from 2017 with random coins that I've completely forgotten about until I find an old note in some kind of old Google Drive that says test wallet 123. It happens from time to time. Another factor is that sometimes managing your own wallet is a bit of a pain. I mean, exchanges like Coinbase or BitGet, they let you buy and hold XRP without worrying about any reserve at all. In fact, I've been using BitGet for some of my trading lately. Shameless plug, I do have an affiliate link in the description down below for BitGet, and using it supports the channel here. Now, on an exchange, you don't need to deal with a 10 XRP activation fee. The exchange handles that behind the scenes. So I suspect that some people started a self-custody wallet with 10 XRP, then thought, I'll just keep my XRP on an exchange. It's simpler. And they just left that wallet unused. It's ironic, right? I know the whole not your keys, not your crypto, mantra versus I don't want to have to deal with this reserve thing. Anyway, back to our mystery here. These 592,000 wallets, all holding exactly 10 XRP, have basically been dormant for a rather long time. They're not sending transactions, they're not receiving more XRP, they're just there. A crypto sleeping kind of beauty minus the prince. On-chain analysts like Dr. Arthur, co-founder of a site called XRP Market, or XP Market, I should say, highlighted this and noted that it likely means that those wallets were opened with the old reserve requirements and then abandoned. Very similar to what you see with Bitcoin, by the way. There's loads and loads of wallets for Bitcoin, but most of them don't really hold much BTC. And it's the same on pretty much every single chain. This issue is not isolated to just XRP. But now, here's where it gets really interesting. As if 500,000 ghost wallets wasn't interesting enough, remember how the reserve is now 1 XRP? Well, that means that if any of those wallet owners do come back, they can actually reclaim 9 XRP out of those 10. They would have to leave 1 XRP as the new reserve, but 9 XRP is free to withdraw. So 9 XRP isn't going to make you rich overnight, is it? But at least at the current prices, that's like $25, give or take. And collectively, 9 XRP times 592,818 wallets, well, that's about 5.3 million XRP potentially up for grabs. At today's rates, we're talking about $15 million roughly in value, just sitting there, waiting for people to wake up and claim it. Now I know, right, what you're all thinking. Is this some kind of treasure hunt? Are people going to go and hack these wallets or something? Well, hold your horses. Now this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor. And nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. It's important that you always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, now we got that important disclaimer out of the way, let's be real. The only person who can claim that 9 XRP is the one with the keys to that specific wallet. And if someone forgot about their wallet for years, chances are they either lost the keys or they're just not interested in $25. I mean, would you remember an old account if it had $25 in it? Some probably would, and some probably wouldn't. Actually, when I discovered this crazy stat, I hopped into our Discord server. Yeah, I have a pretty chill educational Discord server. The link is in the description if you want to join it. And I asked around. I said, anybody here happen to have a dusty old XRPL wallet with 10 XRP in it? And believe it or not, a couple of people said yes. One guy had created an XRP wallet back when the reserve was 10 XRP, and just to kind of try it out, and completely forgot until he read a post about these dormant accounts. He joked that finding that wallet was like discovering a $20 bill in an old coat pocket. Nice surprise, but you're not retiring off of it, are you? Another member kind of chimed in saying that he sets one up for his kids as a fun experiment, left 10 XRP in there and then kind of lost the login info. Now he's still looking for it now because, hey, free XRP. Now hearing that, I started thinking, do I have any crypto accounts like this? Not necessarily XRP, but I definitely had a phase in kind of 2017 where I'd actually download every new wallet app and just throw in a small amount of coins to test them out. So I dug through password managers and old emails. I didn't uncover anything, at least unforgotten XRP fortune. It's a bit of a bummer, I know. I was half hoping that I would find those 20 XRP wallets from the really old days, meaning that I had 20 XRP back then when it was the old reserve, maybe like when it was $5. But now it's kind of worth $50 plus, right? And you could withdraw 19 of it and still hold the keys. But alas, nothing of the sort. I did find an ancient Bitcoin wallet like 0.01 BTC, not life-changing, but I'll take it, of course. And I nearly kind of empty Ethereum wallet with some ICO of a friend convinced me to kind of join. So moral of the story is maybe we all have a little treasure buried in our crypto past. I know I've got plenty of old Bitcoin wallets out there somewhere if I could ever find them. And I'm not talking small amounts either. I was mining Bitcoin in the very early days of 2010, 2011. And I'm sure I have wallets out there with hundreds of Bitcoin in them, but I can't find the keys. Maybe one day I will find them. You never know. But let's get back to XRP though, because here's another chapter to this tale. Those original 20 XRP wallets, it turns out after the 10 XRP balance, the next most common balance on the XRPL is 20 XRP. About 560,000 wallets have exactly 20 XRP each. Now, these are the OGs, the accounts created before September 2021, when you had to put down 20 XRP to activate a wallet. So we have a second army of sleeping accounts from an even earlier era. It's kind of like archaeology then. Leia 2021 had 10 XRP fossils, and Leia pre-2021 had 20 XRP fossils. Each layer represents a bunch of people who joined the party at some point and dipped out, leaving a calling card in the form of XRP. Now, while these little guys with 10 or 20 XRP are the majority in count, they don't hold much of the pie when it comes to the total XRP. Now, all of the wallets on the XRPL combined hold about 64.72 billion XRP. And get this, the largest single account holds 1.69 billion XRP. Yes, billion with a B. Now, I'd bet that's either an exchange cold wallet or maybe something Ripple owns. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have these tiny 10 XRP accounts. The average balance across all wallets is around this, 9,263 XRP. But that is skewed by the whales for sure. Only about 33,000 wallets hold a really large amount of XRP. They're defined as large holders, which is something like 0.48% of all wallets. So basically, less than 0.5% of wallets control a huge chunk of that 64 billion. And a whole lot of wallets control almost none. Sounds familiar, right? Kind of like wealth distribution in the real world. A few richies and a whole lot of people with just a little. Now, this whole thing made me reflect on how at least the XRP ledger has grown, especially in the last year or so. We went from about 5.8 million wallets at the end of 2024 to nearly 7 million wallets now. That's over 1.1 million new wallets in 2025 alone. Now, there was a flurry of excitement that was likely drove all of that. You had XRP getting a nod of semi-approval from the big US court case, you know, the one I'm talking about, right? But suddenly XRP was back on the menu on US exchanges. There are talks of XRP ETFs being kind of approved, companies starting to hold XRP as a reserve for their treasury, and rumors about the US government holding a stockpile of XRP. Real or not, those are headlines that were flying around. It felt like XRP was making a comeback tour, right? And a lot of new people jumped on in, which is great. But guess what? Out of those millions of wallets, many might eventually end up in our, at least like our 10 XRP friends, if those new users lose interest. So I hope not, but history kind of shows a bit of a pattern. Now, for a US-centric perspective, despite all of the regulatory drama that we went through here, Americans were definitely part of the new wave of XRP adoption once things kind of started looking up, and yet I suspect many of the 10 XRP zombie wallets belong to people in the US too, from back when XRP was cheaper than it is today and more of a Wild West, right? Kind of funny, right? But even as we kind of push towards, at least forwards, I should say, with ETFs and institutional adoptions, there's this wake of forgotten small fry accounts that are behind us, right? So let's kind of circle back to the human side of all of this. I find it oddly heartwarming that so many people at one point were curious enough about XRP or to at least kind of open up a wallet. Sure, a lot of them kind of bailed, but they left a little piece of themselves in the ledger. Now, those 10 XRP might have been someone's first steps into crypto. Maybe a teenager who convinced their parents to let them experiment with $10 worth, or a curious Ethereum user who wanted to try the XRP ledger's speed and then went meh in a way that those kind of dormant kind of wallets are like, I guess, guest books of past visitors. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, hey, I made an XRP wallet a long time ago, I wonder if I left 10 XRP in it, well, go check. Seriously, right? Go check. 9 XRP might not be much today, but why leave money on the table, right? If you find your keys and get that XRP back, maybe treat yourself to a fancy coffee or something else, right? Or, hey, add it back to your main stack, right? Personally, if I found 10 XRP wallet that still had access to, I would probably just transfer the XRP to one of my main exchange accounts for convenience. I use Blowfin for many trades these days, and I've got an affiliate link for Blowfin as well in the description. Just FYI, using it helps support the channel here. So consolidating it kind of means that it wouldn't risk forgetting about that little stash again. But that's just me. Some people might say, nah, I'll just let it sit there until XRP is worth $100. Then I'll really regret forgetting about it. Now, one cautionary tale here is to keep track of your crypto, right? People, we always kind of hear that not your keys, not your coins, which is true, but not your organization, not your sanity is also true. So if you're going to have self-custody, be organized about it, right? And these 592,818 wallets might just be a monument to, disorganization or disinterest. So as we come to the end of this little saga, I'm left with a sense of wonder. The XRP ledger is like a living history museum of the XRP community. Each wallet tells a story, the excitement, the curiosity, the forgetfulness, at least of holding. The 10 XRP wallets tells the story of a whole cohort of users. Will we see a wave of them waking up now and that we kind of have this info out there? Maybe a few. And I can already kind of picture some kind of Reddit thread. I can finally unrecover my old 10 XRP wallet and everyone congratulating them on their $25 gain like they won the lottery. Either way, it's a quirky reminder of how unique crypto is. Right? You can't really see stuff like this in traditional finance. Like, we don't know how many bank accounts got opened with $100 and then were never used, right? But on a blockchain, it's all out there in the open, inviting us all to ponder and learn. So, what's the takeaway here? For me, it's just that the crypto space is full of these little surprises, these untold stories. And also to check your couch cushions, digital or otherwise, because who knows, you might just find something that you forgot about. And if you do find an old wallet, come and share the story on Discord. We love those stories. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here. This strange journey through dormant XRP wallets was surprisingly fun, at least for me. It shows that even in kind of something as data-driven as blockchain, there are human stories lurking behind the numbers. So subscribe for more stories, and I'll catch you all in the next one.